magnificent.
Good morning, Colonel, sir. Fine bright today. I hear down at the village, prices is picking up, and it's a big year for cotton.
And heroic, a charismatic superstar who leapt on the screen. Men wanted to be like him and women wanted to be with him. But in real life, he was complicated, longing for recognition as both an actor and writer. Devilishly handsome and charming, he was a risk-taker who flouted society's conventions and inevitably landed in trouble. For him, life was a series of adventures. Making movies was one of them.
Well, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique'S the Fifth, adventurer, treasure hunter, swashbuckler extraordinaire, at your service, madam. Well, today's topic is going to be a update, if you would, you know, perhaps a little more detail on my reminiscences about famed porn actor Ron Jeremy. I was absolutely astounded. I did a little video. It was kind of off the cuff. It was 4 minutes, and that garnered over 76,000 views. So apparently Ron is more popular than I had realized. To get back on my reminiscences about Ron, I actually first met Ron in 1978. It was at a Hugh Hefner party at the mansion out there in California. My background, in case some of you y'all don't know, is well, I'm a riverboat gambler. I started as a riverboat gambler, playing high-stake poker games and other games of chance. And then I journeyed out to Hollywood back there in the 1950s. I did some work at RKO Pictures. I actually got to meet and know Howard Hughes, of all people. And after that, along with that, I branched out into managing some Hollywood talent. And you know, I wasn't in with the William Morris agency, anything like that. It was an independent office, actually. My first office was out there. It was actually in a building across from Howard Hughes's office out there at RKO. And I started out there, and I got to know a number of gals, and you know, obviously I wasn't booking first tier talent. I wasn't booking, like, say, the likes of Marilyn Monroe or Kim Novak or anything like that, although I did get to know the gals. But anyway, I started booking some talent in the, whoop, I lost my screen, there we go. I started booking some talent in the porn industry, and over the years, you know, I booked some gals. I have represented some, you know, I'd book them into, say, calendars, you know, modeling type things. Here's some early shots from years ago from my old files out there. Some of these gals, you know, they were quite interesting to meet, and got them some bookings, and you know, a lot of different gals here, and you know, varied gals of all backgrounds, and anyway, some of them we ended up booking into the adult film industry. In fact, I'm the one who actually discovered Lisa DeLue, who was a very, I thought she never got the credit she should have had. She was a nice redhead, and she was built like a brick house, let's just put it that way. And anytime I'd be riding in my car with the gal, those were the years before the airbags were available. But I didn't need any airbags because, if there was going to be a mishap, all I had to do was throw myself into the bosom of Lisa DeLue, and my goodness, I was fully protected. I was fully insulated there. But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, we're dealing with Ron Jeremy. Like I said, I first met Ron at Hugh Hefner's parties. Met him in 1978. I had, found some gals for Hugh. Some of my gals, they did measure up. They weren't all just in the Stag magazine. They were in classic publications like Playboy, And in those days, Ron was trying to be a legitimate actor. He tried his hand at it. He had some bit parts. Surprisingly, people don't know, but the boy, he was in Ghostbusters. Did you know that? Yes, but it was only in the crowd scene. He was behind the barricade, when the boys pulled up in the that old ambulance that they had converted to the Ectomobile. And anyway, Ron found, and this is how, when I first met Ron, this is how he looked. This is how he looked in those days, like that. He thought he was the shit. He thought that he was the cock of the walk. He was, he thought he was the guy. And you think about it though, he's probably the only one that you can remember out of that era. There were others. There was let's see, who was it? That Peter North. There was another guy. His name. He was a taller guy. I can't remember. I'd know him to see him. But, for Ron didn't keep up with his physical fitness. And as you can tell, let's take a look at this shot. I believe this was in May earlier this year. Ron wasn't looking too good. He looked how terrible. Look at that. It's all gray. And, I think he's 69 now. And hell, I'm a lot older than he is, and I look a hell of a lot better than that. But kids out there, just remember, if you overdo the alcohol, the drugs, and you get caught up with the fast life in the fast lane, well, this is what happens. You end up like him, But Ron, I know he did a lot of those videos. I remember booking some gals. He was doing a lot of videos like in the 1990s, and you would think, let's kind of look here. Here's another picture. This is Ron. He really thought he was something. And look at this legend. There was a movie on him, and I don't know how much money it made. And this gal, I knew this gal actually. She was quite an accommodating gal, and it's really disgusting when you think, a gal like that was with a guy like that. In fact, that's Terry. My friends know Terry. I had Terry here at the Manor House a few times. But anyway, as the years went on, Ron started deteriorating. He started looking more like this. Really, he didn't take care of himself. And really a disgusting pig, if you really want my honest opinion of the boy. But he was the cheesy 1980s porn actor, if you see that. He was the epitome of that. How he ended, he's still alive. It's amazing. Look what happened to that John Holmes fella. He picked up a disease. I mean, it's amazing. And I can tell you this, and I just know this from what the gals have told me. Ron does not like to wear a protective covering. Ron likes to be bareback. What the gals tell me, and well, there's more of there was Ron in action right there. And then he did all kinds of novelty things. And there was one, I think I knew I got him a gig in the Studio 54 movie. He was checking his coat in, arguing with the coat check gal over his coat. But I mean, he did whatever the hell he could to make money. But like I said in my last video, the boy, he ended up where I saw him. I was in business in town. I'm not living in Los Angeles anymore. I went back home here to the manor house. Took over from my daddy here. But I can tell you this: I just by chance ran into Ron, and he was driving a beat up old Saturn, and he was really a Skid Row. It was rather sad. Look at him. Look at this. That's a good-looking gal. I don't know who she is, but don't get me wrong. Ron had a lot of good-looking gals in these videos. I can tell you some that were shot. Some of these women, I'm like, wow, I can't believe they're with that slob. But and look at this. Oh my God, isn't that terrible? That big slob with those gals. But it happened. It happened. But what's amazing is that, and I followed the story since I did my initial report. I did my research. If you look now, he's up on 21 different criminal cases against the boy. He didn't even make bail, I don't believe. He's still in the hooskow out there in California. And, I mean, look at him. He looks terrible. And, the thing is, wouldn't you think all the whoring and everything else in these here video series that he has done, wouldn't you think that he would have, he would have enjoyed the wares while he's doing the videos? He wouldn't have to resort to these assaults and all these different things against these different gals. I mean, I'm here looking. There's a whole list of potpourri of charges. Like, look at this. Would you believe this man in court? I would have my doubts. But anyway, let me see. And I'll be honest with you, even back in the day, I was surprised. Hugh Hefner put up with him for a while, although Hugh never, to my knowledge, ever used him in any productions, but, adult or otherwise. I know Hugh did some other film productions in the, actually some cultural films. But as far as I know, he never used Ron Jeremy for any of that. Like I said, I knew Ron just through the early connection with Hefner. What's surprising is, I was thinking about this, and I was getting ready for this here broadcast. I was thinking about how back in those days, Ron was around, and a couple years after Ron showed up at the Hefner parties, you had that Dorothy Stratton showed up. She was the playmate from 1980. She was an aspiring actress, and she would have went far. And that's another story altogether. But what's amazing is that lunatic boyfriend of Stratton's didn't end up killing him and that Peter Bogdanovich, being involved with his gal. Okay, I'm back. I lost my battery. It went bad on me. I had to change it. But getting back to that crazy nut that was married to Dorothy Stratton. I don't remember if Ron ever hooked up or even talked to that Dorothy Stratton, but I think even in 1980, I mean, Ron would have looked like this, similar. She was already married to a bozo like that, so I don't think that look, comparing him to young Albert Einstein or young Ron Jeremy. Oh, that's funny. I don't think she actually met him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't remember seeing those two together back in those days of those parties that Hefner had. But getting back to Ron, his current, look, there he is in action there, the pig. But, and then you see this. It's just, like I said, he had a lot of these different gals over the years. It's always amazed me. But, that's what money does. You can get the gals, they're getting paid. But, anyway, getting back to Ron's case, it's still in limbo. From what I understand, the most recent article I have here is dated, looks like August of this year, and it was a Rolling Stone article. Ron, and even Rolling Stone, saying that Ron has a ridiculous motion to have 21 sexual assault trials. He wants to have them all. He wants a separate trial for each accuser. The reason I think he wants to do that is he thinks it's going to be more difficult to bring all these gals in at separate times. It's going to cost a ton of money for the state, and also, there's going to be, like I said, some of these women might not show up. Apparently he's going to want to argue all the legalities of that, and his lawyer out there says he's going to prove Ron's innocence. And you know what? Until he's proven guilty, he should, under our judicial system, be entitled to have that presumption of innocence. But I think we can stipulate the facts that the boy is a scumbag. I never represented Ron. I never was an agent for him. But the details on these allegations are very, they vary. Some gals say that he said, he claimed it was an honest mistake, that he went too far, and other ones they allege like an assault. It's a very potpourri of depravity that Ron is accused of, and boy, they're not messing around out there. They are they're holding his feet to the fire. And it's all up in the air. Do I think he's going to be found innocent? No, I don't think so. Do I think he's guilty? Well, yes, I do actually. But maybe the other thing is maybe I don't know. I mean, we could talk a sense of fair play and everything else. Ron, I don't think Ron was like a phony type guy. There he is, hey, hello, Colonel. He'd be all friendly and everything, especially if he thought that, you're connected. Like he knew I was a friend of Hefner's, and that I, knew Hefner back in the 50s. Even back, in Chicago there. I had some gals that was, I represented, and they ended up becoming some bunnies in the different clubs there. But getting back to Ron, he was a guy who, if he had kept control of himself, I mean, you're doing porn acting and all this other stuff, wouldn't you get enough of that on the screen? And if you didn't, why don't you just pay one of these, whores, actresses, whatever you want to call them, just, have them, and you could do your own video series. Hell, if Jeremy had been smart, he could have had his own pay-per-view site. Although I would have recommended to get back in shape. I mean, maybe he could do like one of them little Jim Slip type website deals, you see. But anyway, we're still watching and waiting to see what happens with these trials. The judge did not give Ron, any bail. I think they're afraid he's going to abscond with himself and cross over the border, and they wouldn't be able to extradite the boy. So whether he gets out of jail or not, well, I don't know. It's going to be iffy. I think it's highly unlikely. And I don't believe me. You've heard these stories about, well, these people I knew back in the day that they turned their back on me. Well, yes, Ron, don't give me, he doesn't have the number for the red phone here at the Manor House, but, I know this, Ron has had a long, varied career, but I don't think he saved any money, especially seeing that beat-up Saturn I saw him riding around, and it was terrible. You know, I actually felt sorry for the boy. And, you know, think about this. That this guy, even in the horrible physical condition he is, that some of these video companies would have hired him to be in their videos. I mean, I think only because he turned into such a novelty. Here's a guy, he started out in Hollywood back in the days, thought he would be a leading man, and when he couldn't achieve any sort of notoriety, then he decides he's going to become a porn actor. And, you know, don't get me wrong, there was a number of aspiring actresses that went down that road too. You know, look at Tracy Lords, and then she did a few little mainstream things. But, yeah, Ron, it's up in the air right now, and we'll see what happens. But those are some additional reminiscences of Ron Jeremy. Perhaps in another video I'll talk about, and it's one that I had a client, and Ron was in the production with the gal. She was a very attractive gal, blonde, but she was as dumb as a doorknob. And Ron was supposed to wear a condom, and you know, this video was in the 90s, and Ron just sticks it on the end of his, well, you know what I'm talking about, his tool. And they go, oh, I thought you were supposed to wear protection. And he points down there, it's only on the little head of his member, and he says, oh, well, there, it's on there. And you know, that gal was so stupid, she let him screw her. But anyway, there's some other stories, you know, over the years I've heard, but that's kind of the update on Ron Jeremy. So until next time, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique the Fifth, adventurer, treasure hunter, swashbuckler extraordinaire, signing off.